because I have not returned to my land to become a slave to a bunch of totalitarian bastards. Hey guys, Rafi here from the Endgame Investor. And today, I'm going to talk about something very different from anything that I've ever talked about in any of my videos thus far. This video is not being monetized. There are no ads on this video. I have set AdSense off. This is a personal issue, but it affects everyone in the world. And I want you now to know my story and what has been happening to me since November of 2021. Back in November, I was accused of assault, screaming at children, and yelling Nazi slurs in a kindergarten. I was booked on suspicion of assault. My weapon was confiscated by police. I was questioned for about 5 hours, and I was released just before Shabbat, just before the Sabbath. I was able to have Shabbat dinner with my family, thank God. Last week, all charges against me were dropped. The story begins in early November when the Green Pass was becoming more popular in Israel. As a Jewish person, I refuse to submit to any medical experimentation that has any arm twisting involved, because this is clearly against the Nuremberg Code, and I will not submit to the same atrocities that were committed against my ancestors, my grandparents, 80 years ago, even and especially if they are being propagated by a Jewish government. Naturally, I do not have a green pass. I never had a green pass. I never got a single PCR test. I never wore a mask. And one day, we get a text message from my 4-year-old daughter's kindergarten that says there will be a party, a presentation, some activity that the kids are doing, that only parents with green passes can come in and see their children. And those that do not have green passes are not allowed to pass the gate. And then I wrote back that we are coming anyway, so get ready. After that, we got another text message from the city council that no parent at all is allowed in any kindergarten in the city, whether you have a green pass or not. And so we texted back again, we are coming, get ready. And so that night, my wife and I had a very long discussion. Should we fight this, or should we just stay home and avoid the party? Ultimately, we decided that morning to get up and go, because I have not returned to my land to become a slave to a bunch of totalitarian bastards. That morning, as we were getting dressed, I put my phone in my pocket. And just before we got to the kindergarten, I pushed record, and it was sitting in my front shirt pocket with the camera out and able to record the incident. We did go in. We did sit down with my daughter to play with her, and we left. Later that day, I got booked for suspected assault. And that's when I was questioned. My weapon was confiscated, and I underwent 5 hours of questioning. That same day, an article came out about me in Israel's biggest national newspaper, Ynet. Little did this woman know as it was happening, or while she was reporting this to the media, that I had recorded the entire event. And I'm going to read that article about what supposedly happened in juxtaposition with the video that I took of what actually happened. So you'll see how much of a lie media coverage actually is in the Western world and in Israel in particular. This is the article that came out in Ynet about me and my wife on November 7th, 2021. The headline reads, Al takshivu le'eichman, ne'emenet korona bekatzrin sirva lachnis hore velo tav yarok legan vehutkefa. Do not listen to Eichmann. Eichmann is a Nazi that was executed by the Israeli government in 1960, who was basically in charge of administering the final solution to the Jewish problem. Ne'emenet korona bekatzrin, the Ne'emenet korona, the corona enforcer in Katzrin, refused to allow parents to enter without a green pass to the kindergarten and was attacked. Less than a week after she was appointed to the task, Alice Ben-Shushan was forced to deal with parents who refused to accept the guidelines of the health ministry. I requested a green pass. The father entered by force and began to scream. In protest of the occurrence, studies, or meaning the kindergartens in Katzrin, will open only at 9:30. So what happened according to this article? First of all, that's bad Hebrew. It's really paga bi b'chazeh. Anyway, the Israelis don't know how to speak. It says that I went into the gate by force, I screamed, and I was rioting and wildness, and I hit her in the chest. The kindergartens in Katzrin will begin at 9:30 in protest over an attack on the corona enforcer, Alice Ben-Shushan, that refused to admit on Friday to the kindergarten a father that did not present a green pass and broke into the gan violently. The father hit her in the chest and wildly, hitpareah, how do you translate hitpareah? Flailed wildly or something, in screams in the gan, while his wife was screaming to the kids and said, do not listen to Eichmann. The event on Friday began when Ben-Shushan, who was appointed only last week as the corona enforcer, stood at the entrance to the kindergarten, and two parents came to them with their daughter. I asked for a green pass, but he looked at me as if he wanted to eat me. Ben-Shushan said, I'm sorry, Ben-Shushan, looking at you like I want to eat you? No thanks.
No, I will not make out with you. Did you hear that? This girl wants to make out with me in the middle of class? You got chlorophyll man up there talking about God knows what. All she's talking about is making out with me. I'm here to learn, everybody, not to make out with you. Go on with the chlorophyll.
He entered by force through the gate. I stood at the entrance in the passageway to the gan to prevent him from entering, and he acted violently. And with his elbow, he hit me hard in the chest to the point where I doubled over. Let's see what actually happened, shall we?
Okay, טוב. לא.
סליחה, אדוני. לא יכול להיכנס.
Okay, טוב. סליחה.
סליחה, אדוני, תצא בבקשה.
לא.
תצאו בבקשה. אתם לא יכולים להיכנס לפה.
נכנסתי.
תצא בבקשה.
לא.
תצא בבקשה.
לא. אתה יוצא. סליחה. היא חסמה אותי.
היא לא נגעה בך. אני עמדתי. היא לא נגעה בך.
Ben-Shushan says that the couple went into the gan and sat down by one of the tables of the children. He started to walk around crazily and screaming.
אוקיי. אני לא רוצה לעשות שום דבר, אני רק רוצה להיות בשקט.
אני מבקשת לצאת החוצה. בסדר. לא עכשיו.
שמענו.
עכשיו.
לא.
אתם לא יכולים להיכנס. בבקשה החוצה.
His wife, in the meantime, screamed to the children that were very, very stressed out and said, do not listen to Eichmann.
Heil Hitler.
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 Their daughter cried hysterically. Let's see how terrified the children were and how my daughter was crying.
היא עושה את זה לידה שלנו.
As I said before, all charges against me have been dropped. I am now in the process of suing this woman and Ynet for libel against me and my family. I keep asking for the guidelines to the entrance of the kindergarten that day, and nobody can give me anything in writing. I have never worn a mask. I have never taken a PCR test. I have never been part of this from the beginning, and I intend never to be part of a medical tyranny. God was with me and my family that day. God will continue to be with me and my family, and to all of the brave souls who are fighting this with everything they have. The people on the other side are nothing but a bunch of cowards.
Cowards!
And all we have to do is say one thing to them when they try to break up our families and tear our children away from us.
You shall not pass!
This is Rafi of the Endgame Investor. The Endgame is not only regarding the economy and investments, it's regarding society and social behavior and the breakdown of social norms and common decency. But for however long it takes, I will stand up with the rest of my family and say enough. If you'd like to support me, then consider signing up to be my patron on Patreon, where you will get a weekly video of biblical commentary on economic and monetary policy topics. Or you can sign up for a 2-week free trial of my investment newsletter, The Endgame Investor, link in the description below. And if any of you want to see the full unedited video of the event from start to finish, you can see it at the link in the description below. And of course, always remember, don't listen to Eichmann.
Heil Hitler.
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 Heil Hitler. You know Freddy Finkel.
Heil Hitler. 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 Heil Hitler.